Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
No borders. We can't track people anymore. No banking system because we'll meet most of our needs. No restriction on governments to be abusive against their citizens. You don't like to live in this map condition, you move to another within seconds. No persecution, because in putting you in prison to persecute you, you can move your body from the cell. There's a lot of things with it. One planet, one nation, one race. You choose the place and space you want to live, where and what time and where to be. There is no need for visas and all the things we create. We are better, you come into us. Why the nations have created this visa business and passport business and restriction? Because we've stolen from you for long enough, now we want to keep it. You can't have it. That's all it is. And the rest has to follow, because if you want to go with the thieves, they asked us to make you something, we give you a passport. Look at the whole visa situation and passport situation in reality in the back. There is no abuse. You'll be in Rome, Paris, in Tehran, or in Africa, or whatever, because they can't abuse you, because you can move on. Would there be refugees? Ends all these things. All these things will become in the history book of them. Very soon. Very, very soon. The biggest problem will be the officials who think they can lose control. So this gas enhancement units which we put in the market now, you buy it, we try to make it them what they call car conversion of it, put it back of your car. Nobody can tell you how much you can drive. You don't have to have a fear if you have the money to drive the car. If you're paying €50 a week for the fuel, which most of the people do to go to work or shop or whatever, that's $2,500 you don't pay anymore. That's half of it taxes to the government, which you don't pay, which you have to cover. But the other half does not go to Saudi Arabia. We see the richest monarch, the most abusing nation of their own nationals. As I said to the people we were in this morning, you signed a contract for hundreds of billions to get the supply, and now you don't need. What are you going to do with that 400 billion? It will come to our governments, these things very soon, that we need to be governed by one word. And sooner or later, we set the scene, we imply and apply the scene, that it goes to the Universal Council. You will see in a matter of handful of years, Universal Council will be one of the leading positions even within the United Nations. In the structure, one nation, one planet, one race is I'm a citizen of the planet Earth. That's all it is. Then which part of it you come from? I come from the green part called Europe. I come from the desert part called Africa, the north part of the. I come from the forest side is called Brazil. We don't call ourselves, I'm a Brazilian, I'm Chinese or whatever. They don't know you. They just see a feature of the soul of the man created on planet Earth. As I explained to you, one of the novices, when you travel the depths of the universe, the soul of those who come from Earth is very distinct. They know this soul, it comes from Earth. It's like you Chinese going into Paris and trying to speak French or English. They are still Chinese. Because we see that feature, soul of the man in space has a feature which is the feature of the strength of the souls from this planet. The good thing with Keshe Foundation is that we are not theoretical, we're delivering, and knowledge, science, technology, politics all comes together. We're proud you're born in this time and place that you can see this transition. My great-grandmother used to say, I've seen how your great-grandfather used to go with camels from Afghanistan to Palestine and come back once a year. I've seen how we went to the cars and the bus and the planes and whatever it is. In my little eye, I've seen big changes. And with your little eyes and your soul, from now on, you see bigger changes in a very short time than our parents and forefathers seen in centuries. Because you're doing it for yourself, and there's not somebody else to do it. That you don't need to learn how to become a pilot or have a car to drive or go to an airport to take a flight. All that now, you're responsible, you're captain of your soul. And you decide, I put my soul into abuse.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 465th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 29th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers series. And once again, we have the opportunity to be with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's eager to begin today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers from Keshe Foundation, the Spaceship Institute. We're coming to the end of the Christian calendar, and another year ends with this week without teaching. We enter more or less sometime in the next few weeks into the 10th year of teaching. What we would like to do sometimes, as we all got used to it, every now and then we come back to Knowledge Seekers to see what is your question. What have you learned over the past year? And what would you like to see, or what you envisage that in the year coming and years to come would be or should be the pattern of the work of the human race? Because now every soul has a place in the structure of the work of this planet, as we saw on the 16th of December. What will be interesting is to see how we get the feedback from you. What questions, literal, real questions are, and not what I call irresponsible questions. That by asking questions on what maybe has been ambiguity in part of the teaching or more explanation, we can all learn more and we participate more in the whole structure. For us as the Keshe Foundation Manufacturing, Keshe Foundation Research and Development, and different branches of Keshe Foundation with their own ways in different parts of the world, we look at the 2022 as a evolution in science and technology. We shared a lot, we brought a lot on the table of knowledge, and with it, we opened the eyes of many of you to the dimension of understanding and understanding the strength of your soul, the strength of your inner energies, where you have ignored. Many of you came in touch with it. Many of you will come in touch with it. And many of you will learn a lot from it. And waiting for that magic time goes away as it becomes part of your life. In 2022, we battled to introduce the station of the soul of the man with many of you, many of the others who've been waiting for a change. But the change has come, and this work in the coming time will show itself. We had a very successful 16th of December trials. Many of you joined in for different reasons, but we had different ideas and looking at different things in the background and see and possibilities and expansion. And by the 19th trial, we more focused and in general that what we would like to see, what we have seen, what we see from our ends, and what you feel from your end, being participants or being in it. This has brought us a lot of positive things, because since the 16th in such a large trial and all being involved, it has confirmed a lot of technology correctness, a lot of things which needs to be added, and a lot of knowledge to be gained. We have started collaboration with major space agencies in a way because of the 16th trial and the 19th, where we are putting forward the condition that we feed your astronauts, we feed your passengers of space. Leave it to us, we try it on Earth, and then we try feeding your people in the trips, we try to feed your people in the space station, and we extend this from day to day, from 1 day to 1 week and thereon. And gradually introducing the technology in the dimension of the space and then through the soul. This will be the job of the Keshe Foundation in 2023. Direct collaboration with the space agencies. Not in the space travel, because for us the travel doesn't take shape the way they want to do it. We take shape the way we want to do it. And we start the procedures with what we call the wellness and with feeding. In so many ways, this will bring itself further understanding for us and for them. In our work, we look at the technology expansion to be understood by a majority and scientific world in 2023. Our collaboration will run across nations. Yesterday, I was talking to one of our leading people in negotiations. I said to him, the target 2023 is working in Tehran, launching in Tel Aviv, flying from New York, landing in China. He said, Mehran, you know, this is a big task. He's taking more or less the place of what we used to do through our beloved member of the Universal Council, passed away a few weeks ago in Israel. Through our direct channels, we have entered in negotiation where we, the Iranians, and we, the Israelis, and we, the Americans, and we, the Chinese, work together in the space development. It does not matter what our nationals, leaders decide to do. And it seems to be the right way. And we explore this avenue in a very rapid way in the coming weeks, where we establish the flight, testing flights between Tehran and Tel Aviv. And then we'll see the expansion into other dimensions and how we will expand this further. The next step for us in the coming weeks is the landing on the moon. We have the volunteers who are ready to take this excursion. Our systems should be completed by the end of the month of January. And we will start, those of you who joined for mobile, and then completing that, we go to what we call, maybe by end of the February, March, into landing tests. Bringing people into lens, we have done through the dimension of the soul. Now, with the new systems, we're going to the dimension of the, what we call physicality. Systems are more or less ready to go. As I was talking to our people, we are 80% there on the reactor side, and we have shown on a cosmic side, we are already 100% with what we saw on the 16th and the 19th. In 2023, we will introduce, as part of the work with the doctors and the space agencies, 100 trial. From the results we have seen in certain conditions from our doctors, we are sure we can support them with what we call patient volunteers. Keshe Foundation, and in communication with a number of the doctors and specialists we work with, and you go through it, will take a new dimension in 2023. From individual cases, after the trial of 16 and the 19th, we go into a mass, what we call programs. Our doctors from first week of January or second week of January will start analyzing and accepting 100 cases around the world. This period, the following 3 conditions that we would like to see, as this has a lot of understanding for our space travels. The doctors would like to see 100 cases of Alzheimer's, 100 cases of MS, and 100 cases of Parkinson. These 300 cases should conclude in 2023. The reason for it is it covers psychological, it covers psychosomatic, and it covers somatic psychological condition. That we see how each one gives us the knowledge to develop and perfect the technologies for the doctors to be used in a space where, through the same process of understanding the work of Parkinson, understanding the work of Alzheimer's, and in part understanding the work of the epileptic attacks, which comes in different shape or form with some of these, how we can grow different parts of the body. This knowledge is connected to each other. When you get an epileptic attack, you release a massive amount of information, energy, which comes as we see epileptic shocks. In Parkinson, we direct the information to a specific position like the shaking of the hand. In Alzheimer's, we lock this information in our body, and we have locked it for thousands of years, where we open the Alzheimer's of the knowledge of the physiology of the brain to the brain itself. And with MS, we bring in self-inflicted conditions which we have created for ourselves back into working as one. So with this 3, but 1 hidden behind the 4th one, we have all we need for our passengers of the universe. If you decide to travel in the dimension of physicality, you lose an arm, understanding this knowledge of the 4 systems, we can grow an arm, an leg, anywhere in the space. By your brain, not by us. We deliver the technology. We are not doctors. We know how to make the systems. And as I said before, with the rights given to us by Naturopathic of the Belgium in 2000, early 8, 9, we have the rights to produce these technologies and for doctors to try. We are all within the structure, the legal structure of the development of the technology and the rights we have on the licenses. This allows us to bring a new understanding. Where, for example, doctors in a hospital, you come in due to an accident, you lost your leg or your arm, or your heart doesn't work, they just dial a number, connect you to a system which is set for growing arm or legs. And through your own structure of brain, instead of the amputation and then sealing, they leave you with connection and knowledge. They've been trained to let your leg grow back up. We've done this before. Now we have found the correct way to do it in a faster way by introducing what we call cosmic rays. This allows us a speedy recovery. Now we know how the lizards do it. Lizards don't do it just by creating energies or whatever for the tail to grow when it drops off. Through a specific condition they have created within their skin, they absorb cosmic rays, which speeds up the growth. Now we have access to that knowledge. Now humanity has learned how the lizards does it and do it. But the beauty of it is human body used to know how to do it. We were little mouses and rats in the holes in the time of dinosaurs. We knew how to replace our organs. We knew how to cut off our arms and legs if we get trapped somewhere running away from the animals. And we forgot. We touched the Alzheimer's of the creation. And now we open that back up. And with the knowledge we have gained through what we call psychogenetic, we can bring that and switch it back on in the genes of the man. Where when you need it, you create it, and it's there to do. We just, through the technology developed, guide your brain where this knowledge is. In a way, we create a condition that your own brain finds where you store this information, and now it's locked it away. It's like a computer disk. You downloaded what you wanted it and you put it away somewhere, and when they say, oh, what I want is there, I forgot about it. So what we talk about, regeneration of the organs and what they call arms and legs and different part of the body of the man, has been shown. It can be done. Many of you talk about it, but you have not understood it. Maybe for the first time, I opened this Pandora box that how you missed it. We told you in 2006, 7, 8, we grew a top. And how we got cut off, and we didn't use any what we call bandages or whatever. We just placed a specifically designed disc in front of the toe and they grew. To you, this was something Keshe does. But you all witnessed growth and replacement of the brain with Naomi. You just took it as somebody who had a condition, coma, and we brought her out of coma. But in fact, the biggest development in the science of the man was right in front of you and you missed it. When we say we can grow arms and legs, this is nothing compared to growing what grows the arm and leg, which is the brain of the man. And you all witnessed it. So what we say, what you've seen now makes sense. Now, if we were in a condition of losing an organ or an arm, you need a kidney replacement, or you lost a kidney, or you're born with one kidney, or you're born with some heart defects. Now the technology is there. We don't touch the defects. We go to the master in the brain. Sorry, sir. At the time of birth, you forgot a kidney. The structure is 2 kidneys. But is the 1 kidney condition of new coming time? Is 1 kidney what we needed in new race that we don't need to? Are we going to 1 organ systems in part of our body? And no, we learn more. But now with understanding of the cosmic rays, now with developing systems which produces cosmic rays, what happened with Naomi over, let's say 5 months, will happen in 5 weeks. But with more accuracy, with more what we call perfection. And so this is what we see in 2023. Those of you who suffer from any of these conditions, get in touch with the doctors of the Keshe Foundation. And this time we come to an arrangement with the doctors in regarding how it will be. And when the 100 is completed, the doctors will release a report in what they've seen and how they've done. And then we take this to the next step, hopefully in 2024, 2025. We might even be much faster with the way the technologies develop and the way we see things going on. This is what I call an annual report to you, as you've been part of it. And thereon, we go to the next step. How we'll bring this knowledge to the world leaders, how we bring this knowledge to world community, and how gradually we bring the change over the next handful of years. And if it becomes a hot potato, maybe in less than a couple of years. I would like to see, and I would like to hear from you in how you seen, how you like to see, and what we'd like to know about what we've done in the past year and what will be in the coming years. I open the panel. Rick is in the background. If anybody puts his hand up with a credible, knowledgeable questions and answers, join us, and then we'll see. And if we have no participants, we had a beautiful year. Most probably one of the best years of the Keshe Foundation. And we'll see what will come in the coming year. Rick, if you have any volunteers, let us know.
We do have a couple of questions here in the Q&A. One with Joel, who says, we have done the space travel experiment of last June. Do you think that the new experience of the 20th of January 2023 would be an interesting complementary about what we have already done? I think so, but I would like to know what is your opinion. Thank you very much for this beautiful year, very important for the KF SSI family.
We'll have the January 2023 as a specific project. Try to join as many as we can, because we gave you a surprise as a Christmas gift. But the January, February, and March sessions of these what called Friday afternoon sessions is part of the development of the soul of the man for a space travel. We don't go through explaining what we do exactly how we explained in about the 16th of December flight, because then it sets preset mind. You all came in on the 16th to see if your cancer goes, if you can go to the moon, and everything else. But none of you expected to meet your creator. And you all met your creator in the dimension of the soul. Technological data shows us we are correct. And there is no conflict. 20th of January flight is something special. The one in February will knock your shoes off, as they call, and your socks together. March will bring you a shocking realization. And these are all in the dimension of the science, interaction with the universal community, understanding the work of your own structure, the way we did. The 16th session was important for many of you. And we'll see a number of you who were on the 16th will come on the 20th, will appear in February and in March and thereon. These souls are part of the structure of the next generation. And this will, we don't work something we make up for the next session. It's all well planned, as you've seen, with the work to the next step, And I think those who joined the January test will be amazed in how they will see themselves. And March session will follow after the first landing of the two knowledge seekers, which we already set up for it. We are preparing for it. And one from Russia and one from Germany, husband and wife. And then we go to the next step. We try to make by mid-July, August, the first multiple flight systems. Very much what we did with you, 160 people in one session. We try by back end of this year to take between 1,000 to 10,000 souls, not only across this planet, but beyond. This is why we asked you for the 100 case trial. The faster we finish the 100 case trial, the more perfection, the more what we call perfect system understood by our knowledge seekers, the team, will come into operation, fine-tuning. And this January flight will be an amazing flight. I know exactly what's going to happen and what I have planned for it. And February flight is arranged, organized, in a way not organization, but understood, will be one of the first interactions, which January is prelude to it, where we bring the soul of the man directly in touch with the soul of the universal community in a very different way. You came in touch with the soul of your prophet. We have a data, it shows when it happened. You came in touch with the soul of your creator in the soul dimension. Now we bring you to a new dimensions. And this needs to be done, that when you go to space, it doesn't become a magic. If you understand, we still work on physical dimension, flying UFO objects and whatever, because this is part of things you enjoy. We have to keep you busy. But the soul travel, where transmutation will become a norm of the future. A lot of things will change with and after 20th of January session. The same with February and March. And we go for mass multiplication of numbers in doing things. And these trials will bring us to that point. I discussed this with one of our doctors last night, that we go into multiple systems. And those of you who are with us and you've been with us, you will see the changes in every condition you have entered yourself for with the Keshe Foundation. So January session will be a blow-minding affair, what we call experience, and the same will go with February and March. But March 1 is where we hope to collaborate, and more or less after the landing of the first two people on the moon, then let them tell us how they see each other, the husband and wife, how they feel about each other. And then if we can get pictures through the souls to the peoples here, and through the soul of the man, convert these pictures to a physical picture. This is where the satellite people come in, those of you who register for satellites. Communication through the universal community and through what we call a structural work will go through the satellite souls. Those of you who volunteer for satellites, you do not know what a gift you have given to humanity. Because the work you do is separate than the work the Universal Council does. Totally different dimension. And we still need more satellite people to be there. This time you are putting your soul into line of what we call communication than your physicality. We don't need your computer hardware in the house. We need your beautiful souls to become that line of communication between the universal community and what we call man's understanding of the universal community. And this process will start early next year. So 20th of January will give you a beautiful sensation that you're a human and how as a human become part of the universal community. Let's see, and we'll see how as a whole we'll take the next step. Any other question?
We had a question from Nick in the live stream regarding the event on the 16th. He says, all the people that were there on the 16th of December that connected together and with the prophets and creator, what will happen to them? Why were they brought together by their souls? Thank you.
They are connected from the time of the 16th of December. And the purpose was for the soul of the man to understand has the capacity, strength, beauty, the elegance, and the understanding to sit at the table of the Creator. Many of you came with different reasons, but you didn't know your soul knew exactly what it was doing. Your souls were aware that it will sit with the Creator. That was a gift. Go back to your past generation. Go back to your ancestors and see which one of you, which one part of your bloodline has served the humanity. In some cases, your soul is the reason you are here. You've been there on the 16th. And on many of you, your part has been a gift and thank to your past generation for what they've done, for understanding of the creation and the work of the Creator. It's like your father has discovered something and now your son and his grandchild pick up the Nobel Prize without him even knowing what the grandfather has done. This is how it was said to be on the 16th. Rick was there. Rick has been with us a long, long time. Not just on this system and this project. It's the guy we came with. Things are not accidental and coincidental. So when you say what was the purpose, look in your life. Try to find out about your ancestors and see how they served humanity. That you picked up the flower. Now you understand why. None of the ones on the 16 came in the dimension of the soul to get anything. They came to celebrate what was achieved. End of an era. Now maybe you understand. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a question from Crypto Alchemist on YouTube. Question, how do average citizens that might be low on income but huge on soul and love gain access to experience the Keshe space program and technology from somewhere like the middle of Canada, where I live? That's from Crypto.
Wait your time. The ones who have are paying for the systems to be developed. We are gradually in 2023 going the server system, but plasma server system. As now the knowledge is becoming a little bit more mature, we are taking more and more people on. We already started it in the back end of this year, but it'll be rapidly increased. It's what it is. There are expenses incurred on the foundation to run these technologies, and with the huge loss we had, it set us back by quite a bit. But luckily enough, it won't take us long to be back on the track with what has been set in the background past years. But in general, it's like if you had a Parkinson, our doctors would have charged you $100,000-$200,000. If you had a cancer, would have cost you around the fees of paying to do. What we have discussed now with the 100 cases, the centers which will accept the cases of Parkinson, the Alzheimer's, and the MS will come up with a given time with a group of people. And this will allow us to increase our systems, but reduce our costs. And something around about 10,000 euro has been set for Parkinson and for what we call MS and the others. But this will come in effect in the coming weeks. Those of you who entered with the doctors in the process will stay the same. We will not change it. We cannot change it because it was set up. When we start the trials in months or weeks, then they have to decide, the doctors, is 10,000 enough to cover the expenses of theirs? And will it cover the additional expenses which they incur? If you have to look after one patient is different than when you have 30 patients. You have to bring in other doctors to monitor. You have to bring nurses or what they call secretaries and structures to do. So maybe some doctors increase it to 2025. Maybe some doctors, this is not in our hand. They decide. But then now you see it. When we go into the national and international level, where let's say 10,000, 20,000, I think the cost will come down to about 3 to 5 or maybe 10,000 fixed by governments. It's the same with disasters. Now you have a disaster in North America. Many people have lost their lives. You hit with the frost, with water, shortage of food, shortage of medicine. It's just not that the people's hit, or the hospitals and centers of the health centers are hit. How it's going to happen? Keshe Foundation in the coming time will come to an agreement with the American government. We cover in this area 10,000 people we feed for 2 weeks till they find normality. In this area, we cover for all medical needs. You're diabetic, you need to get insulin, you can't get, the system is broken down. You have to take certain kind of medicine you cannot reach. We deliver through our system. You got to understand what this change will bring. There in Africa, you got tens of thousands of people in droughts, dying of hunger. United Nations to get money from Americans inflated for their farmers, and instead of 100 kilo getting 1 kilo, but the price paid through agents, this all will die away. I explained yesterday in Rick's teaching, another teaching. You give every hungry person one headphone, and we feed them. There are more mobile phones on this planet today than number of humans. So it's not difficult. What I call one phone, one life. Go back to the teachings of years ago. I said with 2 mobile phones, you live forever. We provide all your needs. And because you couldn't understand it, we explained to you with the batteries and whatever. With 2 mobile phones in your hand, now you understand where the technology was set up. We couldn't explain to you that time. Then you understand the implication of this new knowledge. And then it's not going to cost you $2,000 or $3,000 a year. It costs you most probably $10 or $15, $20 a year to feed yourself. It will become part of what we call one nation work. It needs a lot of collaboration, and it needs for the technology to be proven. We went for single individual cases, then we added to multiple, then now we go for hundreds and then thousands. And this is presented. We did this with a pig flu in China. We proved with 1 pig we could save, if you remember. Then with 30 pigs, and then with 800 pigs, and then now nobody hears in China about pig flu. So maybe in 5 years' time, depending on how we work with governments and how big multinationals, which are going to lose their control over grain and the rest, play the game, average cost of having food is dialing a number on your internet. There'll be service providers like you have today. You go to one, they deliver you the Chinese, and the same delivery service delivers you the Italian and the rest of it. There'll be service providers which they deliver your food, deliver your medicine, deliver your energy needs. And this is where the future is. Then you pay maybe 1 cent and 5 cents for a pizza, and you pay nothing for a McDonald's as a free service. This is not a dream. Those of you who joined us in the food section, then what we call the nourishment section of the Monday, you do not know what we did in the background. You had from banana to apples. You had from exotic foods to honey and the rest, and every herb on this planet we could get our hands on. And that's why we want to talk with you. And the questions we ask you in the next couple of weeks will give us a lot of indication. You could not even imagine what has happened. The purpose wasn't then to come in and feel good and not wanting to eat for weeks. The purpose was different. We had a preset structure, and we would like to talk with you. Then you understand those of you who came to the cancer session, what happened and how things take shape. In the 16th and 19th, you as knowledge seekers entered in a very basic but a massive fundamental change in the whole process of life on this planet. With your souls on Friday, with your physicalities on Monday. You look for addiction in drugs or alcohol. We looked at the way your soul reacts to these things and what data we collect. As I said, you saw the graphs on Friday session. Surely you don't want to see the graph on addiction and the others which the team has collected in the background. So you can't afford a cost today, but in a coming time, would there be any need to kill a pig? Or would we need to grow wheat and the rest and then harvest it every now and then put it back in the system? We can't take pigs and wheat into deep space. They will not even have the physicality manifestation. So what's the use of growing them? Animals we eat today will be pictured on the wall in the coming time. You don't need to be in Central Canada, one of the richest nations on this planet, and claim poverty. You'll be the same as the guy in the back villages of Africa or in what I call tribes in Brazil. Will have access to the same dimension of technology and knowledge and what I call food and medicine. We've seen it with Corona. Our Brazilian team tell us how the people in what I call jungles of Amazon use the guns for COVID. We hear from Africans and the Chinese, the Iranians and the British. Became equal to all. The technology for the food and medicine will be the same in the next few months and weeks. Governments have done a beautiful thing in putting satellites. Now we work with the governments for the satellites to become the true satellites of delivering a lot of other things than what it was planned originally, because it will become obsolete. We work in a coming time as Keshe Foundation has become a space organization in Iran to work with the Iranian space people that we start feeding the Iranian nation directly through satellites built by the Iranians for the Iranian nation. In the forthcoming satellites, we try to endeavor to place our systems within that we can feed the nation. As one of the very first trials of the technology. You would like to taste whatever will be part of the satellite which covers the area, will feed the area. And then it will be expanded to the other organizations around the world. Any other question?
Okay, we have a question from Carlos. It says, good morning, Mr. Keshe and all seekers of knowledge. How will the Keshe Foundation carry out projects for agriculture in 2023? We appreciate the guidance.
We still carry on with the same things. And a lot of people are doing a lot of agricultural tests for different things and different reasons. We don't have a specific program for agriculture at this moment of time for 2023, because the way we see it, with the development of the cosmic rays, the structure and technology, we'll be walking away from food. You will understand sooner and sooner. And agriculture doesn't have a room, in a way. We call it agriculture in the coming time. Farming in the new science of man is a distant thing, will become. It's no use growing wheat when with the knowledge we understand about the strength and cosmic rays of the wheat to grow something which nobody going to eat. These are realistic things which are going to hit, but step by step, we developed the space technology. And in the space technology, we look what will happen to man in the space. And I'm sure people can't afford paying for the wheat, people who got stuck with the shortage of wheat, will Ukraine, the governments will see a new way. You as knowledge seekers will bring that to your governments, not us. Agriculture and farming or animal husbandry in the new science of space has no room. What are you going to grow? A man from the Mars next time to eat? Or something to you looks like a flower, but it's a living, intelligent being. So we still help you with your bits and bobs of how to increase your harvest or whatever, but Keshe Foundation is a space program. We can't teach you how to eat others when you go into space. This is what we're trying to avoid for you to survive the space. And this is something you have to get used to. But on the other hand, if you want to take it in a different direction with agriculture, the same thing will be done with agriculture as with what we call human feeding. Satellites will create a condition for wheat to grow rapidly. Everything can be done now because the most important missing part of the jigsaw puzzle for humanity was creation of cosmic rays and the universal rays, which man will come to understand. And you need the universal rays to understand it, the structure of the cosmic rays, to be able to feed yourself in the universe. And those who travel across the universe from different races to feed themselves to exist. When you talk about UFOs and aliens, they eat something. They have a nourishment source. They will learn from man the use of cosmic rays to feed themselves. The universal rays to feed themselves. So what you call agriculture and farming and animal husbandry, what you call killing chickens in millions, will come to an end with understanding the technology. We all become vegetarians, as you call it. Why now we eat only one race? I'm a vegan. I'm a vegetarian. I am a plasmacist. I take energy from the plasma and I kill none. There'll be these new words very soon coming into vocabulary of men. the way you became vegetarian. I'm a, what do you call it, target shooter. I'm a sharpshooter. I can kill directly only plants. A specified way I target specific animals. Now, next time I target the Martians and those from planet Zeus and somewhere else. But becoming part of universal community, understanding the technology of the life in the universe, you all live of the field of the plasma. So agriculture, the way you call it, and a lot of knowledge should have moved in that direction, has a limited life. We increase your harvest by 10 times, but there are no customers. Throw it in the sea. And what are you going to do with the sea, with all the fishes that don't want it? You pollute somebody else's environment. It's a very tricky technology, this Keshe Foundation technology. You become soul travelers, not food hunters. Any other question?
Okay, we have. I'm wondering what your response is to Achilles Da, who in the Q&A puts his experience of. He says, I participated in the last session of the Monday flight when Mr. Keshe asked everyone to go to the North Pole and try to meet the Santa Claus to touch his deer. I felt even more cold because I had caught a cold on Sunday, the COVID-19 kind of cold. During the whole session, I felt literally nothing. I felt I lost most of my connections to my soul after I'd been attacked by the COVID virus. So could being affected by a virus before you go into the flight system, could that result in a session that was, say, less effective, or, as he says, literally felt nothing?
We went into these to understand, to see the effects on the soul in our systems in the background. When we ask, like the ones who join the nourishment and the ones who join the addiction in the coming days to meet with us, then you will see what you felt really and how you connected, where you connected. And it doesn't matter, as we saw with the Friday session, 10 people ran a disco in the session. If you listen to the sounds which was made during the Friday session, it was like standing in Central Station. So much noise, only by about 10, 12 people. But when you look at the data in the background, kilometers away, where we follow the emotion of the soul, is unison. It doesn't matter who was making noise and who was quiet. So we come back to you. That's why we want the small groups to analyze in more detail the things that you could not even think about. But it needs time. And the time, in these couple of weeks, the excitement of the time or the thing your anticipation was, it's like people who come to the center, they want to go somewhere, but they don't go, but when you speak to them, they went exactly where they wanted to go. So we listen to a lot of these things in the coming days and weeks. the people who joined on the 16th and the 19th. Any other question?
Yeah, you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned replacing food and so on. We have a question from Caroline and the YouTube who says, I wonder how will men that have jobs in the food industry or others in the future useless jobs, how will they adapt? She says, my imagination needs enhancement.
You don't need to imagine what happened in the Industrial Revolution. When the new systems came and replaced the man's job. What happened in the Computer Revolution. Man always finds another thing to do to keep himself busy. But this reward and payment will go out of the equation. Most of it will disappear. Having a job in office, going 9 to 5, has proven now with the COVID in past 2 or 3 years, can be done from home. Can be done on your leisure time. It doesn't need you to be in the offices to exist anymore. What happened with all the cleaners who used to clean these offices? What happened to the doorman? What happened to the guy who delivered things to these offices? Now they're running without anyone. We adapt to them very rapidly. We have a very good example of literally abandoning lands. What happens to them? And we saw it in Chernobyl. Nothing has happened as such. Life has taken, animals still grow the same way. And a cycle has taken that people are still living within the boundaries of the Chernobyl restricted zone, normal life. But in general, life carries on. We find new hobbies. One of the best things which will come to man to understand is this electronic control, financing, banking. The governments just top up your account for you to have a good time. And with the same imaginary number, you top up somebody else's account because you bought something from them, because there are no jobs. There is no borrowing as such. All these things we accepted, forced on us by those who wanted to feel they are in power, will go. We saw in the past few months situation in Iran. People boycotted certain transport companies. People boycotted certain food companies. And how the businesses literally collapse. These people find another job. You will find new hobbies than jobs. And the governments don't issue any more paperwork. They just give you a digital number, you top it up. Central banks move away from that position. It's a digital requirement. You don't need to live in a 80 square meter property stacked up like sandwiches in the middle of the city because you have a job there. You live somewhere in the middle of God knows where. It costs $50 a year. At the moment, there are buildings in China. The rent is $1 a month or $1 a year or $10 a year for 80 square, 90 square meter apartment. fully built in the cities which are nobody living in. You live in China, you come to work in New York and go back within 10 seconds. The whole concept of life, the way we have accepted to be slaves, is coming to an end. And it'll be very rapid, because once it gets hold, once it's done, the preliminary base done, the way we jumped on the computers and mobiles, we use the same computers and mobiles to travel with. It's not just something you take a nap and buy a sandwich. You take a nap, you're fed for the day for nothing. And the ones who created the chain come up with more exotic taste and flavors. What do? You spend more time outside, you enjoy yourself. Because a lot of people say, I want to be free from taxes and I want to be free from burden of chemical foods or whatever. You don't have chemical food. You have received the pure energies which is needed by the body, and the taste and flavor comes from your emotion. Life, we are not theoretical now, especially with the test done in past months. The whole humanity changed. The best thing Belgium did to us was taking us off the radar in the newspapers and the public. Allow us to develop in a very solid way. Without the magician and the magic jobs they want to do it. You have a time on your hand to live the life you like. And that's how it should have been from the beginning. But now there's more technology, more things. Do you need a car to go to pay $2 a fuel just because somebody shot a bullet and then come down to $1 after about 6 weeks? Who made this massive $100 what do you call it, barrel out of nowhere? Because your credits are free, your energies are free. By the way, to tap on it, you don't even need the apps or communication line. Those of you who gradually get trained by yourself, you live a free life. You need it. What do millions of unemployed every day? Used to go for jogging, go for a walk, go out sitting and chatting with your friends, or travel the universe. You won't have enough time to be unemployed. Mankind will be employed with the pleasures of the universe than the slavery of the man.
Okay, we've got a further report by Achilles Tha in the Q&A on the Friday night session. He says, on the session 2 of the Friday night, I can't stop laughing. I never laughed so loudly in my whole life. I don't know why I laugh. I don't know if I was in the disco. I felt someone put some food in my mouth and I start laughing. The experience on Friday is so impressive and profound, such that I can't stop swinging my hands during the session 3. So he had a fairly profound Friday night session, but
yeah, it's different people took according to their enjoyment, I call it, of the soul. Different things from each session. Uh, those who joined the cancer session, they had some of the profound effects in their, what we call, emotion. We are following one or two of them. And the ones who joined the food session, they had the best ride. With the food session, we kept on loading up different things in the background and see how it is and how it feels. Or to you, you just sat in the session. In the background, we took off things and we watched the session, how it goes. We emptied the place, we filled up the place with different things. And we collect data. And it'll be interesting to see how collectively the people in the Monday session learn from the Friday session to join each other. None of them did. 2 or 3 people who knew each other in some occasions did, and I see it in the graphs. In fact, what should have happened is we should have taken you in a different direction, make one soul out of all your souls in that session, and then bring you back into a system we had, and then do what we wanted to do. And this is what's going to happen with the future test, but we don't explain anything how we're going to do, because we got to perfect our systems. Go back to the teaching years ago, if you can find it. I said that you give your soul to a captain you trust. And when you arrive at the destination, that captain lets your soul to detach, to be free. What we are doing today, I explained this to you maybe 5, 7 years ago in teachings. Those teachings are transcribed, just look for it. I explained the time will come that you give your souls to the captain, a captain you trust. Now you did that on Friday. Took us 7, 8 years to physically develop that technology that you could do it. And that captain was the technology and soul of all of you together on Friday the 16th. You made one soul, one captain, and you saw it on the graph, the straight line. And you gave everything to it unconditionally. None of you fought. We don't see any peak in that period that even one soul rebelled. So now you understand. Find the teaching and listen to the 16th or last Thursday teaching where we explained to you. Then you understand it was a fulfillment of a promise years ago. Now you have it. And the whole session will come following all these developments, new things. I refer gradually into the back teachings that you see how long it's taken me to prepare you for what is to do done at this time. You gave your soul to a system. You believed in one system that with the structure of that system delivered you to your creator in the soul level. If we would have told you such a thing in the teachings, I think it's in the 100 or 200 series. I explained you what of the teachings is. You would have laughed. But when we explain that you give your soul to one captain, and when it comes to the time delivers you trusted, you made that one captain out of all of you, the 160 of you in that meeting that day. Because you trusted in yourself. You don't do anything wrong in the soul level. So did the others, so you made one out of it. In the future, I'll teach you how to travel the planetary system, how to travel in stars through your soul. But again, go back to the teaching where I said, what you see as a star, you already have a connection to it. The light came to you to see is the light which takes you back to be. Then you understand how much knowledge is left to add and for you to understand and to use. Go back, many of you who came to Linz and many of you who were online, we done some tests with you. I frequently ask you two questions. Did you see or did you feel? Most of you who went through the Linz experience were asked this question deliberately. Did you see your father or did you feel your father? Did you feel the animal or did you see the animal? Why? All these questions will be answered in the coming weeks. And then you learn the separation between the physicality and the soul. You learn what is the knowledge of the soul, you learn what's the knowledge of physicality, and you gradually learn how to connect and be in charge of their interactions or be a witness and guide the two. Then you will not do no wrong, you will not act wrong, and you not even think wrong. Because you see something done wrong in the soul that will affect the physicality, you'll be paralyzed. Something you do in the physicality will damage the level of your soul, you'll be paralyzed. So, which a stupid man shoots himself in the foot, as I say, and tries to run a marathon. Your essence of your own judgment brings perfection to your soul and conduct. Any other question?
In the YouTube, RA had a question earlier. If we are allowed to manifest on the same level of physicality as on Earth, now on the Moon and Mars, does this mean that the planetary soul has accepted us to make a living environment?
You cannot have the physical, exact physical feature of the man on the earth in any other position but Earth. There'll be some deviations. And that is primarily because of the field strength of the destination. And primarily part of your own emotion, what allows for you to accept. These are very important criteria because the physicality cannot do something which the soul is not happy with. And the soul cannot do the same with the soul of physicality. But compromises will be reached in a way of balancing the two. So you cannot be exactly the same, maybe even internally, as the way You might feel it physically with yourself on the moon, but in reality you're not, so you deceive yourself. But in a way you get used to it. It's a coma condition. You know your face in a certain way and your understanding, and then you go to a coma and you wake up 20 years later. The body has gone through aging and science and technology has changed. So when you come out of coma, your emotion inside belongs to 20 years ago, but the face is today's. You have to accept it. When you went into coma, there were no mobile phones. Now somebody hands you the first thing is a mobile phone. You want me, call me. What's this? What do I have to do? We learn. It's a beautiful learning curve. An emotion which a lot of you have never considered, or maybe sometime in your life have thought about it. We spoke about agriculture. We spoke about killing or consuming another life. We call it a wheat or we call it whatever. Now you understand the structure of life. Then comes a cycle which came to us in a different way around about 1990s and disappeared. It was just a fashion. You would not eat an animal, you became vegetarian. But you love mohair, wool and silk. You like a sheepskin in front of the fire, and you enjoy fox scarf and different animals as a fancy coats going out. You wear a cotton shirt. You're carrying an animal on your back. Another life was sacrificed for you to have it. Would your emotion take you to that point that I will not wear anything, which is another life? Do I need to wear another life? Next time when you call yourself a vegetarian, look at your clothes you wear. You're wearing an animal in the name of the plant. 100% cotton. Ignorance does not give the right of passage. And deliberate ignorance is worse. So, what man's going to wear in the deep space? Where the clothes man makes, made of carbon and hydrogen, and maybe a little bit of this and that, as a polyester and the rest, in the span of universe, is part of the energy system of the universe, carbon-14 and hydrogen. With your polyester or whatever cloth you created will exist or be vanished as part of the energy of the universe. In a simple word, if you are anti-killing of the animals and plants, and you go for being organic and chemical-based things, I would like to be naked in the space, the same as your soul. Now you understand how much we have to let go and how much we have to accept with what is to come. You'll face this because you became passengers of the universe. It's not somebody else done it. 160 of you became passengers of the universe in the last few weeks. You volunteered, you came in, you brought the soul. How you tricked it is your problem. I'm going in because I've got a cancer. I'm going in because I have Parkinson. I'm going in because I want to travel. How did you cheat your soul to come in? How did you bring it in to be as part of 160? Or did the soul bring you with cheating you with the Parkinson and everything else? You have that, go there because I already have a rendezvous. I'm supposed to be there. You carry me inside, so go with the excuse of Parkinson or traveling somewhere else. How did you end up to be one part of the 160 people last week, 2 weeks ago? Who brought who in? Did the souls have a rendezvous they knew they're going to be as part of the show, the beginning of a change? And fooled you with your physical desires? Or do you think your physical desires brought the soul that he found where he was supposed to be? In one of the meetings of the next few months, we'll bring you the world leaders on the table. The way you became in touch with the soul of your creator and your prophet, we don't announce when and which one, but in one of the sessions of 2023, you will sit with the Pope. You will sit with Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. You will sit with the two heads of Israeli synagogue religious leaders, as each 6 months they change. You'll sit with the head of Islamic world in Saudi Arabia. You'll sit with the top on the Christian belief calendars of leadership. You will sit with those who run Buddhist monks and the rest. You remember in the 2016, we took you to join your prophets. Now you join the servants of the prophets to show the desire of the prophets. And that will bring the end of religions for men. As those who you bring on the table, they have to answer your soul and the souls of those present. And in that meeting, you'll mature the world religious leaders, and will come the end of the religions. As when we finish the session, one by one, they will resign from their position. This time, you decide and not them to attend. You call their souls. Then we'll see the end of religions. Then those religious leaders have to carry the message to the rest of those who follow them that the bell has been rung. The end of what we call false belief. And then we, in the other sessions, we bring you the world leaders. You will sit with President Biden, and you will sit with the Iranian leadership. You will sit in the soul level with those of Kremlin and Beijing. Don't forget, these are not fairy tale. You've seen it. Scientifically, you met the soul of your creator, and these are all servants to him. Then we start bringing the change. Then, once we bring these changes, you have to understand that the nations in the human level have to accept these changes. But as they'll come in unison between all of them, then it'll be what we call a trend, a fashion, and it'll carry itself through. This is part of the 2023 program of the Keshe Foundation. And we have a track. We took you to your creator, now we take you to their servants. And instead of going and making a time that one day, if they decide you'll meet them, now you bring the souls, and the physicality follows the decision of what it was made in the meeting of the souls. The way we'll feed your soul to feed your physicality, the same way will be done with the world leaders and religious leaders. We elevate, we touch their souls, and then their physicality bring the change in their dimension. Don't be surprised that one day the Pope walks out of Vatican and indeed literally will never be seen. Don't be surprised in the coming months when Ayatollahs just take the turbines and the what we call abbas and just walk away and you don't see them again. Not by bullets, but by elevation of the soul. Because this time, if you do it, we saw in Iran, you become revolutionary. But if they do it themselves, it's done by themselves. And I said to the world politicians, revolution in Iran by gun and bullets will not work. It has to come through the soul in the mosques. And that's where we're going to bring the change, the revolution. When there are no more mullahs and ayatollahs to lie and cheat others, the mosques will close on their own because the people will elevate. The only way you change world politics in the religious end is through the soul, not through guns and bullets and discrimination. When I was a child, maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, if you go to Tehran, where the dome is, I told you before, where they built the religious praying dome over the house and the bedroom I used to live in as a child. In that house, we had a big living room. Many times, I saw men with women, with the children as family, coming to the house with as a turbine with the mullahs, whatever, from different cities. They changed their clothes and walked away, not being a mullah, not being a religious man in the path of whatever they believed in. I asked my father, Papa, what's going on here? Why do we get mullahs in the house? And then the clothes, they go out normal. He says, they have elevated in their soul. They understood that there is more than Islam. I watched this maybe 10, 20 times. Green and black turbines with 2 or 3 children, because we used to play with the children while they stayed with us a few days when they took their clothes and robes off. And they became normal men on the street. It's not something that we don't see. I've seen this from childhood, where the man elevates, changes his clothes. So we'll see these very soon, but in the mass. The funniest part for me was, why do they shave their beard, Baba? And he used to say they don't need it anymore to hide behind it. Any other question?
Okay, still no hands up, but we have some interesting questions lined up here. One from second question from RA and YouTube. How can we interact with souls of civilizations and collections of souls far away in other galaxies who we don't even have a name for, let alone a visual imagination? What is the line of communication?
You will learn that you have access to the whole of the world of creation. You will find out through essence of emotion that creation and created things from different part of the universe would like to make contact. And you receive it through emotion and the dimension of the soul, and you respond. It's like you make pen friends and chat friends. You receive the emotion. Human race will not have time to rest and does not need a job to do. They'll be so busy with the excursions and the life in the space, and that the roads and the factories and the offices will have no meaning. And as your beautiful cotton shirt and your beautiful PVC and whatever lycra clothing has no dimension in the universe, if you appear in physicality, you'll be naked. So you have to choose. You will learn these things. It's not a strange thing to you. You do this already in your dreams, you call it. Your soul at the time of the reduction in strength of the blood, what we call magnetic field, travels to these places where they invite you. I saw a dream. I had a dream last night. I went to a place, there were this and that, and there were people like this. Excuse me. Now you know where you went, you receive an invitation, you travel, because they match the strength of your soul at that point of time. And in being there and having, unfortunately, the center of your soul is still attached to your physical body, in communication between the center and outside, where what I call the strength of the field took you, leaves what we call image of memory, and you call it a dream. As I always said, your memory, your brain, is like being between two people talking to each other where you're not supposed to be. Your soul with the soul of the other is communicating, and you're in between and you hear them, what they say to each other. But you're not part of it, because in the physical dimension you are not there, and you call it a dream. So when what's going to happen, the civilization didn't know, you made a contact or they made a contact, and you meet each other to understand each other culture and ways. And maybe part of it you remember, you've been there and you've done, and you call it a dream. So it's nothing strange. Now you know what your dreams are. So you've been there. You met, if you're in your dreams, you met aliens with 2 tentacles on their head and 20 arms. They exist. You've been there. It's just you don't remember where and why, because the one who listens to the whisper in the middle doesn't see what happens behind the wall on either side. If they're laughing, crying, cooking, whatever, he just hears the voice. And your brain has just heard a voice and creates the image of it. But you've been there. This is not something strange. Now it becomes decision, dreaming, than just not knowing what you dreamt and the reason for it. You make a decision to go to such a place because I sent the call out and the answer came. You go on these chat shows and chat rooms and you leave your picture and your name and whatever, and somebody calls you, oh, I've seen your picture, you like football, I like football, can we go to the match together? Any other question?
I think you've answered probably Josefa's question in their Q&A here in the Zoom, who said, since we were children, we dream and remember a lot of things, but specific points of the dream are lost. For example, how we got there in the dream, where we went, how we got to the other side, the contact with someone that we remember that we had, but we don't remember how that contact was. Is there any way you can direct us to increase what we might call memory backup, or to remember dreams better?
You see, if you listen to the teaching of past few months, this should have answered part of this question. And if you've been with us in this, we tell you, you go to, you don't fly to, and it's instantaneous. You go to moon and it's there. The first thing you have to realize that in a dimension of soul, dimension of fields, is instantaneous. You don't need to wait 18 hours on the flight to get to somewhere. So this explains why you're suddenly there, because decision was done, is there, the fields connect. So what could not be explained, how I went there, how I got there, it was a decision you made, it was there, you just go to, you connect to the field and it's instantaneous. So this part we understand now. The rest of it is, what was the decision of the emotion at the point of contact? How you wanted it and how you saw it. And what you wanted from that interaction and what they want to show you in that interaction. The rest is, when you meet a friend, you decide to have a coffee, a cake or whatever, it just comes as it goes. Would you stay for a dinner? Now you're here. That is what you call cycle of life. But going to it and everything, now you've tested yourself. A lot of time you say, well, I went to, did you fly to go to and see the Martian or whatever you saw in space and it was there, you arrived. Now you understand how correct the technology is. You're there instantly. And you have experience of this in the soul travel when you're asleep, as just was said in the writing of this question. You don't know how to go there. Now you know the system. You know our system. If you've been, I tell you, now go to the moon, and instantly you're on the moon. We didn't wait in the flight room for 18 hours or 4 days for you to get on the board of a rocket and fly there. Now you learn the way your soul travels. And you should have seen that by now. With the transmutation and transportation of soul is instantaneous. You go to places. You don't fly to places. Flight is a job of the man. Going to places is a dimension of the soul. And now you're getting used to it and you understand how many times you've been to places, but you didn't know it was your soul involved, not your physical dimension. And the minute mom shakes you, come and get up, it's time to go to school, you're back in instantaneously. You go back, say goodbye to the friend, mom wakes me up, I have to go to school in the physical dimension. Now you understand maybe a little bit more about the two dimensions of the soul and physicality.
Okay, that brings us to Pamela's question in the Q&A here. It says, first of all, good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for your infinite love for humanity. It goes on, in the first teaching of 2022, you taught us about transmutation and inertia and spoke about how we need to train our emotion to identify what is real or reflection or mirage in the plasmas of the universe. Could you tell us more about this subject and, if possible, guide us to understand how we can develop the understanding to know what is real, reflection, or mirage?
This comes by test. Even in the world of creation, in a physical dimension, half of the structures we see as stars and galaxies are mirage and reflect. It's the same with the dimension of the soul. Depends on the field and the strength of them. Their interaction creates images. And it's just how you interpret that image. Or it has taken the dimension of physicality in part. Then you call it whatever you choose to. You put two mirrors again opposite each other and you're standing there and you see hundreds of yourself down there in each one. Which one is a mirage? And which one is a reflection? And which one is you? It's the same. When you bring interaction of the magnetic field, you get residuals. And some of these residuals create conditions of repetition because it's like cells that connect to each other. But in the energy dimension without the soul. And then you call it a mirage. Or in a way, if it's backed by other fields, you call it what you call reflection. And it's you who have to understand which one carries a soul. You see a soul in them, then you know which one you're dealing with. A picture image without the soul is a mirage, and it's a reflection.
Okay, is it linked to Vic's question, which is in YouTube, who says, what does it mean by being told you are glowing? So my line of reasoning here is, if someone is glowing, we know what that's like when someone's glowing. They're emitting, they're giving off the rays, the radiation. They've got the vibes. Is that related to the difference between a reflected image and one that's being broadcast, like direct radiation?
What do you mean by that?
Well, for example, with somebody is sort of on top of their game or really tuned into their environment, so they're really paying attention, they seem to take on this glow. They're totally awake and aware in their environment, let's say. So is that glowing part of when we connect with our soul, we emit rays rather than just being a reflector of other rays, or instead of transmuting other rays, we are the source of the rays, let's say.
I don't know what your position you're in and what you have chosen.
Maybe I'm reading too much into the question. Maybe, do you know what I mean by when someone's glowing, when someone is...
Yes, it's just...
so what does that mean then? That would be the simpler question. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just you add the dimension of physicality to what you set up in your, what you call the emotional part.
So the glow might be more the friction of the fields, let's say.
On the emotion side, how do we feel
skin
emotion?
friction.
Yeah. It's the information transformation. How do we transfer this information? In which level? Dimension of the strength of the soul, in dimension of the strength of the physicality, or a combination of the two? Something I wanted to bring up with some of you who are totally different part of the work of the foundation. So 20 of you up to now have bought and received these black discs. There's, I think, 10 or 20 getting prepared for March or so, which you're putting, a lot of you putting orders in for them. We would like to build a session, and you will receive an email, those of you who bought these discs, for a meeting on Zoom, and in connection with the discs you have. And we would like to run a number of trials with these discs, with you, and with our flight system. The same as the ones who did the nutrition and a couple of other tests on the 19th. We'll contact you for you to run some tests with us simultaneously with the use of these discs. And these will bring us a lot of knowledge for the space transmutation. This is one of the things I told you before. Those of you who have it, keep it handy. Very soon the Keshe Foundation will contact you. We have a list of you who bought it, and we call you into a session. And a lot of these things that is now discussed somewhere in after March will be discussed with you, because we will use these for the specific flight systems, and you're part of that system. And it's those who have acquired the black discs, the 2 mirror discs, which were foundation, and there's another, I think, 10 or 20 going through the process at the moment. Any other question?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, we finally encouraged someone to raise their hand here. Cristiano, would you like to go ahead, please?
Bom dia. Rafael, por favor.
I think we need a translator.
Brasil.
Like so that would be Portuguese, I presume. And I think Rafael, maybe he can help here, but he might be busy on the other channel.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oi, Cristiano, pode falar, por favor.
Bom dia, senhor Keshe, e a todos os buscadores de conhecimento presentes. Primeiramente, eu gostaria de agradecer, eu quero agradecer ao senhor Keshe, né, por todo o conhecimento que ele tem nos passado com tanto amor por tantos anos. E eu gostaria de fazer uma pergunta. Quando o senhor fala que aqueles que tiveram a oportunidade de passar pelo voo da alma, né, do dia 16, pode ser porque alguém de sua linha ancestral pode ter servido de alguma forma à humanidade. E eu lembrei do ensinamento, né, onde o senhor fala que quando morremos, né, na fisicalidade, os campos de nossa fisicalidade servem para poder criar outras criações, né? E antes de conhecer tecnologia, nem sei se pode ser falado, mas eu estudava e pesquisava sobre hipnoterapia e hipnose. E eles se falam muito de, no estado profundo, né, de conexão, eles falam de regressão de vidas passadas. E algumas pessoas relatam viver em outras eras, como se fossem outras pessoas. Eu gostaria de perguntar se, nesse entendimento, elas estariam acessando uma dessas almas que formou a sua fisicalidade. Obrigado pela oportunidade e bom dia para todos.
Tá, vou tentar traduzir. So I'll try to translate here.
Desculpa que nem deu tempo de eu digitar aqui.
Não, tudo bem. So what Cristiano say first, he say thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for all the love and knowledge that you give to us all these years. And he say he's connecting his question with something that you said today regarding the people who went through the flight test on the 16th. Many of people who were there on the 16th came because of their ancestors who did some serving and did some good works in the past. So he was trying to connect this with the hypnotherapy. And in these therapies, in hypnotherapy or something, they say that you lived other lives before. And he's asking, if I understood correctly, if those people, if like that you were in the past, you are coming back, you did that good deeds in the past, and now you are coming on the 16th through the good deeds that maybe you yourself did and are coming for the 16 as a, let's say, like something like a reward of something good that you did in the past or something like this. Was that clear, Mr. Keshe, or do you want me to try to clarify with Cristiano the question?
The situation with the 16 is part of everything involved in, and is not the reincarnation of somebody you did something good in the past. You are a collection of the RNA and DNA of the past lives which led to your creation. You call it, or they say that you inherited this disease genetically through your genes. So you now understand the genes are included RNA. Without RNA, there is no DNA, and RNA is a, what do you call it, magnetic field of the information, which leads in dimension of physicality to DNA. So it's not that your ancestors are with you. You carry the reflection of what they've done in the energy level at the time of the presence. Doesn't matter in the 16th or any other position in your life. And this is what it is. It's not that you lived other life. No, you brought part of the actions and interactions which led to your creation, which is part of you, to be understood at the time and the place and position. You are not reincarnated, does not exist, cannot exist. But the, what we call the, I explained it in the easiest way. You have a recorder and you record the music. Then you play this music to 10, 20, 100, 1,000 people. And then they play the same music to another 10, 20, 100 people. But the original recorder breaks down, gets destroyed by accident or whatever. But what was recorded by the others and given to the others and given to the others recording it still carries on. So the recorder is destroyed, but the music is heard by many down the line, maybe for generations. This is the music my grandfather used to listen to, but the gramophone doesn't exist anymore. He actually was listening to it. My father had a tape recorders, and then my grandfather recorded on that, and then my father had a stereo system and a CD recorded it. In my time, it's just on the headset, and I'd give it back to my children. This is the music that your great grandfather enjoyed, but God knows what they're going to record it on. The physicality of the original recorder is gone, but the music is carried on down the generation. It's the same with the genes. The man who did a good deed, his good deed has a spread to his bloodline, not just one. So the children, the great-grandchildren, and children, and the great-grandchildren carry that knowledge. And maybe one of these grandchildren down the line, or great-grandchildren, comes to find the original recording, but the recorder is not there. Now you understand how your soul works, how you reflect the work of your ancestors. You don't have the original recording. You don't, it's not the ancestor to show which button he pressed, where he bought the recorder from, or whatever. It's just the music which is played, it was recorded generations back. And this is the same with your RNA and DNA. What you see, what you say is a reflection of what they, in their strength of RNA, recorded in their disk. You have that information, but you don't have the origin. You are not the great grandfather. You are not the recorder. And this is how the souls, when they present in the recording of the soul, is the RNA recording of their life and generation and creation. And you have to understand, when you were created, you had a mother and a father. That's two recording. Then they had 4 or 5 children, which they've shared that. But your father and mother are children to their grandfather, to their mother and father, your grandfather and mother, with many children. So now you carry the memory bank of the gene of your father till the day of your inception. You have now the recording of the 4 grandfathers and mothers, and then 8 great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers, and all the siblings, whether they were in touch with each other or had the emotional respect to each other. So you see, the soul of the man goes back 1,000 generations, 2,000 generations. You have all these recordings in your soul. How 200 generations before, your ancestor had to tackle a bear in the North Pole, and he lost an arm because he did the wrong move, and that wrong move was recorded on his emotion, on his RNA. And down the line, any of the bloodline sees a bear, runs like a rabbit. Another man in the North Pole came across a bear, fed it, they became friends, and 1,000 generations before, and this bloodline, when sees a bear, they hug them, they have no fear of them. Depends what is recorded and recorded, and what was passed on the RNA and DNA. And this is what you have to understand. When we bring the souls on the table on the what you call 16th of December, came from the souls of generations of the whole of the human race. Listen, 18 nationalities, path of beliefs, and others were present, over 80. We have a good sample of connections. Chinese, Iranians, Americans, Mexicans, Australians, Africans, Russians. They were all in that 160. Christians, Muslim, Jews, Catholics, Protestants, Sunnis, Shias, they were all in it. We brought all the race of man on the table on the 16th, irrespective of color, race, and religion. And that was the promise of the Holy Books. The day of judgment, where all men are equal. And with it, you came and you brought all the memories of man right across. The Jews, the Muslims, the Christians, the Americans, the Iranians, the Chinese, all listen to the voice of your messengers and the voice of your Creator. None of you was higher than the other one. None of you had a crown of the kingship, or you're a better race. You all met on equal power. And that was promised. And for the first time, you had the rays of the universe, cosmic rays, which brought you to your Creator.
Which brings us to Farzam's question, who says, hello, Rick and Mr. Keshe. What are cosmic rays made from? Wikipedia says that it's primarily represented by protons or atomic nuclei, or in another way said that 90% proton and 10% nucleus of helium, or 90% beta positive ray and 10% alpha ray. Is that correct?
Every ray which exists in the universe is in part of cosmic rays. And every field which exists in the part of cosmic rays and universal rays is a magnetic field base. And what collection of them, what you call, is your intellect. Proton collection more of, neutron maybe more strength field of, electron may be more powerful but less of the small ones. Man-made names for it, but in essence is different interaction of different strengths of what we call magnetic fields of the universe. One thing which you got to understand is that you are still part of a cosmic ray, but in that ray you still can be a cluster, and in that cluster you still can be a plasma. So the plasma as the soul of the man can live in the cluster of the souls, and then with it be part of a cosmic ray which ends up in another what we call cosmic rays or cosmic plasma or disk of fields, or is originated from a plasma or a cluster of plasmas, and then all this and the initial root goes and becomes the essence of the Creator. It's just like you start from your capital and you drive away. You go certain lengths with nothing, and then you see a town. And then around this town, there are villages. Member of this village most probably farm, put something in town, the town people put it back on the road, they go to the next road, up the road to another cluster of villages and towns. And that's how cosmic ray is that road. And end of that road is not finished because somebody else is building another little village somewhere down the line, putting the first houses down that in the future will be a village and a town. And you're one of these villages, which a cluster of them made them a town, which is on that highway. That highway is a cosmic ray. And there's a possibility that from your village, there's a little alley roadway into the village, into the next cluster. And happen your girlfriend to live in that. You never go down the main road. You go through this back street to see your lover. And then between you and your lover, you start a little house somewhere out that in the coming centuries become a village and then maybe a town. So you still interact in the line of the main road with all the clusters, but on the side you still have little flinks around and you don't need to go on the highway, you know the back passages. And you create a new generation. And in the future, a new town and cities. Because you put your house near water, your children don't want to go too far, they build another house next to you. Your great-grandchildren want to be the grandpa, grandma. They don't want to go back to the village or to not the father or the mother. So you start a new cluster. And it's the same with the cosmic rays. But when you started from the capital, there are many roads go out to different directions, to different towns and villages. And all these towns and villages in the back have access to the other ray, which left as one road out. This is exactly how that center, that capital, is the soul of the creator. And different roads going out are the rays which cover, become what you call cosmic rays. And they interact in the interaction of the fields of the little villages you build. We all have, if you drive from your village into town and then from your town to the highway, access to the capital. It depends which route you take. And how well you build your house that it lasts, that another generation can use and grow it. And that's the conduct of your physicality. It's as simple as that. If the government tries or decides we build a new highway out of nowhere from the capital out to reach somewhere else, another city, and then while they build it, people see opportunity and build over time little houses and villages and connect to it, and then you build a new path to a new direction. That's how cosmic rays are created, how they end up and how they interact. That's the easiest way for you to understand. You still have a cousin who still lives in the capital. You have a cousin who stayed in the town which was just created, and then it's you who moved and created that village, and then your children will be the one which build another village that in the future will become a town, another galaxy, another universe, another cycle of life.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We're losing a little bit of bandwidth there now. You're starting to break up a bit.
Please This time, don't leave it to the last minute to register for the 20th of February. No? Hello?
Yes, we
Have lost
can.
the bandwidth with me.
We can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Okay, let me see our backup system. We've got 2 or 3 of them. See which one is. Everything seems to be okay. Everything is very hot. It's unusually hot. As I said, try to register for the 20th of January and don't leave it to the last, because once we go through the January session, we see who and how we announce the February session. And maybe for the January session, we announce 1 or 2 specific sessions for the Monday, the following Monday. And try to book in and try to bring as many people as you can. This session after January, it'll be very, very interesting in spreading the part of the technology and for the future programs which we set up to expand the knowledge. And try to understand this time, come with no desires. Try to come with no expectation. And try to come with open arm to receive a new knowledge, new understanding. Last time you came with a lot of wishes. This time come to give wishes, to satisfy other wishes, and then see what comes out. And we'll see, hopefully we'll go further with this in the future processes and future programs as the new systems come into operation. If there are no other questions, we'll stop.
Brett's had a hand up here. Perhaps he can go ahead. And we had one other question, perhaps, that if you can address as well.
Yep. Carry on, please.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I just wanted to wish Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. And this has been an amazing year of growth and understanding. And it's been a journey, and a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I just wanted to thank you for that personally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll learn more next year, and with our systems coming into operation early next year, a lot of things will change. A lot of will change. There is something I would like to share with you before we go. As part of our work and as part of the work of the Keshe Foundation, as we promised you, we bring the new structure and new order for those who still go on the dimension of physicality. This was created some 3-4 years ago and was kept. And now as we go to a structure of 1 planet, 1 nation, 1 race and 1 organization, this will be the first time ever we go public with this. Those of you who purchase the Keshe coin will receive this certificate electronically. And this will be one of the only ways that we will interact with the what we call public in the dimension of financing and the structure of the what we call liquidity of availability of funds across Keshe Foundation, across the planet. This Keshe Coin certificate will be in 2023 issued through the specific structure of the Keshe Foundation and then through the banking system. The plan for this is on the way, that you can buy certificates. These are all individually carry a specific code that cannot be, doesn't have the characteristics of the Bitcoin, that they can steal it from you. And it is interactive inside the Keshe Foundation, the structure. So even for attending the sessions, attending the what we call the future sessions, you exchange cash coins certificates for what we call for the currency. And this will bring, and it's the beginning of the what we call one world currency. Does not matter where you are, keeps its value always the same. And it will allow you to what you call bring everything back into what we have in plan in the coming time. And these will be certificates of the more or less the donation as certificate of the cash coins. Many of you have already purchased coins and you put the numbers down. All these will be in the coming time sent back to you with a specific combination security and connected directly to your what we call emails. It cannot be stolen. What has happened with the Bitcoin cannot be repeated. And they can hijack your email, but through the system we have, will be recalled back in. Which means at the moment they steal your wallet in Bitcoin currency and you lose all your savings, as many of you have faced with it, they steal your wallet even with the safe organizations. This cannot happen. We have a very beautiful Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers who is well versed in it. We will come in hopefully and put more structures around this, that they become independent, what we call financial structure, without tying to the banks, but the banks use it to guarantee their own collateral security in the future. We are talking to a couple of European banks that the cash coins operates within the banking system. You can go to the bank, go through their apps, you can buy cash coin. And it's the sign of security and guarantee of the value that you never lose. And there is no way it can be stolen. So what you've been waiting for the first time we release this, what we call the cash coin certificates, and it's exchangeable, and it has a history track that is yours. If somebody turns up and you come up to the foundation, my certificate was stolen, whatever has been sold of that coin will go to zero, which means you stay the owner of the certificate and it's tracked through you only, and you can pass it on to your children or whatever you want to do in exchange, buying something and selling something. Allows you a lot of flexibility, and sometime in the coming months all the people who work for the Keshe Foundation will be paid through the cash coin and they can exchange it anywhere, and we guarantee back it for the Keshe Foundation reserves. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have Antonio and Leo with hands up now. Antonio, could you go first, please?
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good from Australia.
Just with the feeding system, if the farming stopped completely and so we had an accident, with a solar flare and their satellite systems went out, what would happen then if we couldn't feed ourselves?
You still feed yourselves. And wherever there is a ray, a cosmic ray, is life, and you are always connected. There is no possibility of man ever be stranded, or any life will be stranded in the universe. Impossibility. If you can see it, if you can visualize it, if you can feel it, you're connected. And if you can't see it, you visualize it or see it, you most probably don't exist in this dimension, so should be no worries.
Okay, that's one less worry.
It is the way it's set up. That's why we ask for so many satellites. That's why we ask for so many, so council supporters.
You have enough people now? You have enough people for the satellite?
We don't have this. We still need around about the numbers we mentioned before. The more we have, the more you got to realize there's a one big understanding which is missing amongst the knowledge seekers. When we speak about need for satellites, you're looking at the human race numbers. When now we have open universal community, you need it for as many as possible to be in connection between the human race, the earth, soul, and the universal community. It's not you anymore, satellite, just for the human race. You understand?
Yeah.
There is much more involved. The arrangements we made, hopefully we can keep, depends on how things turn out. We are expecting an interface with the universal community in a physical dimension in 2023. Which means the knowledge will go far enough, we create an environment enough to allow those who are amongst us to show themselves, who they represent, which part of the universe they're ambassador of.
Mm-hmm.
We might have some souls which come in to manifest, but those who are amongst us and they know who are and they're amongst us here, they will enter the safe zone created for them within the structure of the enhancement unit, that they will change to their original fields, and we see the true shape of them. We have already seen this in the enhancement units in the center. And especially I was talking to our people, and we have videoed creation of different magnetic field environments in the systems. And now we see it as a clarity, you see it as a mists, you see it as different field strength. And when with the new cosmic rays coming in the system, so we're in January, February delivered to the enhancement center, then we have control of the cosmic rays, then we have the control of manifestation of the physicality. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. With this people that came in on the 16th, do you want the same people to try and come in on the 20th of January?
You got, if you want to, yes. Because you gradually develop the soul in that direction. And it's like gathering, it's just the newest school. You gather more, and then in the future you teach more.
The interesting thing for the 16th is that prior to the session, I don't know, maybe it was my imagination, but I felt a connection. So I don't know, maybe my expectation or anticipation of the 16th, just prior to, and I had trouble joining in, but eventually got in. And it's always there's always has to be some drama, but I'm wondering, like you said, we probably won't need a mobile phone
in a coming time, no.
Yeah.
You already pre-arranged. You've been a lot in touch with the system. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
You've been with us a long time in a lot of trials. So you didn't need the preempting like the others to start. And that's why you are already ready before the session starts.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. It's not anybody, oh, you felt something wrong. You've been through the system many times. So you already were connected. It's just you didn't need the system. You automatically switched, you connected. Maybe the reason you had a drama was to tell you don't need it. You're already connected. What you're trying to do. You understand?
Yeah. Oh, well, it was a little bit stressful because I thought, I was getting ready, and then it wasn't allowing me to come in.
The soul says, "Oh, you're already in. What are you trying to do? Connect 2 times?"
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. No,
Now
it was,
The universe doesn't allow cheating and no duplicate entries.
thank you anyway.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
With a lot of knowledge seekers in different ways in the background. So Antonio is one of them. So they know the system, they know a lot of things around it. So they're home. Any other question?
What would you say to Eric Van over in the YouTube, who says, I am retiring from a power plant next year. I hope to work with plasma technology in the future. What can I do to prepare for this?
Oh God. Yeah, if it's a nuclear power plant, you're already in it. If it is the standard power generation systems like coal or gas or whatever, you know about the power, but you have to change to understand the new structure of working of the systems. In a future time, we connect part of your soul through teaching to the soul of the planet in a specific way that it will create energy and power for your need. This is a beautiful part of the technology which I already devised a system for it, I don't know, when I was 30, 35, maybe earlier. And this allows you, through your own aura and your soul, to create enough energy that you don't need to feel cold. You don't need light. Systems will be delivered, not to be developed, because they're already fully developed, that creates, at the moment when you have light on the street, everything is lit. You have a light system developed that you will understand how it works, that it lights your vision and your senses. And you don't need street lights. This has already been discussed in building new space cities. With the new space cities, there is no street lights. Due interaction of the fields of the man with his environment, you create the light in the direction and dimension which you need. Go back into some of the talks I explained. New space cities have no street lights, because you will be taught, system will be introduced, that it creates a light in the dimension of the vision and interaction with the aura. It's very much like the light is on Earth during the daytime when you're interacting with the sun. The back, when it's not needed, is in the dark. You create a light in the direction of the vision, even in the direction of emotion. You feel something happening in behind you. You create a field that understands what it is, what shape it is a car, is it a man, what it is, and how to react. This is slowly in the future it'll be taught. Any other question?
I think we're nearing the end here. Perhaps we can take another question from Leo here in our Zoom chat or Zoom attendees. Leo, can you go ahead? Hello, Leo. Can you open? Go ahead. Yes. I think he needs.
Translate.
Hello, Rafael. Me ouvindo?
Raphael's coming in here.
Yeah. Before Rafael comes in, there is something I want to explain about one of the meetings coming up in the near future with the sessions, like the January the 20th. We would like those of you who have physically or personally have seen, been in touch, or been present with any of the religious world leaders to be in the following 3 months meetings. If you have met personally, or you've been in presence of how many of you are? If you have met or been present personally with a Pope in Vatican, if you have been present or met any of the 2 Jewish rabbis leading the state of Israel, if you have met with any of the religious leaders of the Saudi Arabia heading the Sunni Shia sect, if you have met any of the 72 ships of the path of belief of Christ, if you met any of those who lead the Buddhist monks and the rest, join us. Make sure you are present in the next 3 sessions. It's your responsibility and obligation. If you have met with many of the world leaders, like President Putin, like Biden, like President Xi of China, make sure you're in the next 3 teachings of the 20th of January, and the others will be followed. If you have met or been present with the head of United Nations, if you have met and been present with any ambassadors of your nation at the United Nations, be present in the next 3 sessions of the Keshe Foundation in January, February, and March. If you've been present with any kings or queens, met or been present with them, make sure you are present in the next 3 meetings. This is the time where we'll end the end of the kingship. If you've been present and seen and been around any of what we call elite scientists be present. "2023 is where we bring the change. And the change has come from the knowledge underneath and change of the leadership in the level of the soul. If you are Iranian and you've been and seen at the Harmony of Iran being present, make sure you join the session. If you've been to Catholic Church and you've seen Pope, be present in the meeting, next 3 meetings. And it goes the same down the road. We do not change, we elevate for them to walk away from their, what I call, positions. And if you are members of the national securities of different countries, you are here to report to your leaders. Ask your leaders clearly to attend the next 3 sessions. You don't need to come through the back doors, sitting in the hiding zones of the Zoom or YouTube. Be brave enough to declare yourself in a meeting. We can translate that.
Bom dia, Rafael, me ouvindo?
Yes. Léo, pode falar, por favor.
Meu, Oi,
Pode fazer sua pergunta, por favor, que eu vou traduzir. Pode falar, Léo.
Did you translate in the background, Raphael?
Yes, I translated, but I think he's having problem with his microphone because it's turning on and off his microphone.
me ouvindo, Rafael?
Tô te ouvindo, Léo. Pode fazer sua pergunta agora, por favor. Pode fazer sua pergunta, Léo. Seu microfone está aberto.
Rafael?
I think he's not listening to us. Eu acho que você não está ouvindo a gente, Léo.
Perhaps you could listen to the recording.
Me ouvindo, Rafael?
I think you better switch his
Oh,
microphone. Maybe find somebody.
Maybe he's connected with the translator. Let me go in the translator mode so I can let him know that he needs to change there. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Alô? Rafael?
Can you mute this and then we'll go back to it when it's ready? There's something which I would like to clarify. In the session when we set up the structure for what we call interface with the universal community, we'll invite the members of Universal Council to be present. And that is
Ok.
big meeting, we will ask, can you switch this microphone off, please? We will ask the members of Universal Council in full to be present, as this will be the first interface between the Universal Council and what it will be their future in the structure. And this will be one of the most beautiful sessions which will be held. And there'll be the beginning of a massive change for humanity in knowledge, technology, and what I call hand of friendship. We will announce this to the Universal Council members, and we expect them to keep this confidential. Once it's released to you to attend such a meeting, Please do not go to public. Do not allow anyone to know that you are attending such a session. Thank you very much. Can you get this gentleman online, or shall we call it a day?
Can you respond, Raphael? Should I allow him to talk? And is there anything else we can say there?
I talked to him so he can speak now. I think he changed his system, but let me ask him in Portuguese. Léo, você está ouvindo a gente, Léo? Se você quiser falar, pode falar agora, só abrir o seu microfone.
No.
Yeah, I think he's still having problems with his
Léo,
microphone.
me ouvindo?
Oi, Léo, pode falar agora, por favor, sua pergunta. Yeah, I think he's having problem with his microphone here.
Problem.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll pass on that then.
microphone off, yes.
Brasil.
Can you switch his microphone off, please? If you can put him on the panelist, not the panelist, on the other side. For the Iranian group or community, you still can register for all these meetings with the Iranian, organization side, with Yusuf and Dr. Barapur, the system set up for Iranians who cannot pay outside Iran. We have organized the same thing for Brazil, to be able to pay to Brazil, Office of Keshe Foundation. And like last time, it will be organized through Raphael. The same thing will go to the Chinese community. Chinese community, you can pay to the Keshe Foundation organization in China to receive the same connections on the day of meeting. As there's a lot of difficulties for people to transfer money out of China with different and it limits the number of people. You can go to the Keshe Foundation links in with Wang Lin and the Chinese organization of the Keshe Foundation, and they forward you in your emails and the date you want to attend. Those of you Chinese who still want to work with the Keshe Foundation head office, you know the path to do it. But for the Iranian and the Brazilians, transferring funds out of the country is difficult. So you deal with our offices in Tehran and in Sao Paulo with Raphael. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? And if there is no more questions, we wish you a beautiful Christian New Year on Sunday. And hopefully it'll be a wonderful year for humanity. And we'll see what we can do and what we can achieve together as knowledge seekers.
Well, we have a couple of hands that popped up at the last minute here with Dean and Jalal, but I feel like you're kind of tired and would like to close for today.
Let the last two speak.
Okay, let's keep it short, guys, because I think we're wearing out Mr. Keshe here. So, Dean, if you could go ahead, and then Jalal.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, thank you so much for everything you've done for 2022 and all the intentions and everything you brought forward for each and every soul, for humanity and all the beings present. Mr. Keshe, very quickly, could you summarize how do you feel 2022 has elevated the soul of mankind and others? How do you feel that it has gone in this calendar period that I know is a matter state, but how do you sense we have grown, if at all?
We achieved a lot, and the growth has become actually the biggest growth, the biggest achievement of the 2022 is awareness of man's power of soul within the structure of the man. The realization slowly by knowledge seekers and in the future by the others, where we set the scene fully in 2022, is respect, honor, and trust in the fields which you call it a dream. That is, you as part of you is actually the controller of you, the owner of your life in all dimensions. That has been a difficult time to bring for man to understand over centuries and thousands of years. Then in 22, we can openly speak about it, monitor it, show it. And awareness of the soul, existence of the soul has been the biggest achievement of 2022, maybe the biggest achievement of human race. Then we can publicly teach it, show it, and make it not to be a taboo, but a reality. And then it opens up new doors.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So we're looking forward, we look forward to 2023. Thank you so much for everything you do. I'll keep it short. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for everything you've done. Thank you.
Jalal, would you like to jump in?
Yes, I jumped
ahead.
already. Thank you, Rick. Hello, everyone. Good day, Mr. Keshe. In reality, I have two things. One, it's regarding the protocol that Dr. Parako brought out. He used the ratio 1-to-1 between CAP 1 and CAP 2. And is it okay in that?
Yes, it's very much perfect because you've got to bring the balance. CAP 1, CAP 2 brings the balance in physicality. And with adding of the magnesium, you bring a dimension, a part of dimension of the emotion. You have to have a balance that you can bring the emotion in balance. So we have seen the, what do you call it, the situation which is coming up in China. And now we see restrictions back again in China. But the Chinese are not declaring what this new corona does because they're baffled by its effect in the psychological and emotional level. And they have downgraded it from disease, or what do you call it, a virus and epidemic to an infection. Because it shows a small cold, but has a massive psychological pattern behind it afterwards. This is what has baffled the Chinese at the moment. And as you heard this week, a number of nations are putting a restriction back on the Chinese passengers, but even they don't know what they're looking for. Most of them does not show much sign of COVID. 1 in 10 does. But the psychological effect of it is devastating. In the next year numbers, we have to look in number of suicides, number of what we call homicides in the Chinese data. And we will understand for the first time the effect of viruses on emotion. Magnesium is part of it. You cannot bring anything else because within the CAP 1 and 2, you have everything you need. What is missing is the structure of the strengthening of the emotion with this virus. And you need magnesium. And CAP 1, CAP 2 have to be in balance to bring that condition.
It's only the CAP 2. It's very hard really to produce such amount of ganses.
You need very little ganses.
But the ratio is 1-to-1. That's
1-to-1, yeah. Whatever you produce in CAP 1, CAP 2, produce the same of CAP 1. The new tabletop units coming out of Iran, the automatic system, use those to create the right combination of everything you need. It has the, what do you call it? It has a structure to give you the right mixture. It depends how you put in each box. When you look at the, I don't know if we can bring it up, the new tabletop units, which is launched by Iran, the first batches will be delivered in the next couple of weeks to us for final completion. Rick, can you get it? It's on the website. If you look at it, you create the right combination of strength and everything else within the system. You don't need to decide. The beauty with this new system they have put on is if you look at it, you have a number of containers, 6 of them. You can ratio in each one what you want to produce. You can produce CO2 in one, magnesium in the other one, and the COP2 in the other one. If you take the right ratio, you produce the gases for the right way, the right amount for what you need. This allows you can be, they're expecting up to yesterday report from China has shown us 2% of the population in one district have got the new corona. It's not huge. The area covers 92 million people, one district, and 2 million plus have been infected in one day. And expected to 90% of the population within certain time will be affected by this. Thus 2% of population in one day have tested positive, considered to be positive, whatever. And so if you take every day, some of these are repetitive, but increases. But within a period of time, they estimate about 90% of the district will have been affected by corona. So 80% of them, if walk away, 10%, which is 10 million, about 9 million people are expected to come with mental diseases, suicidal, and the rest of it as they're reporting. And this comes in a very, this time, this corona, it comes just a normal cold. Absolutely normal cold. Especially if you had the vaccinations, somehow it feels like you just had a sniff of a cold, and 2 days later, the depression, suicidal thoughts, and the rest comes in. You need this system to be run more or less 24 hours a day and to support yourself with it. It takes 2 or 3 months this time to get rid of this, what do you call it, side effects of the corona, which is a mental depression and what they're reporting. And most of the European and American tests does not show this because it just shows it as like influenza, small cold. Then this is going to trigger a massive release in the rest of the world by mid-February or so. A lot of people will become suicidal. A lot of people. We saw this first with a couple of our knowledge seekers last year, so we had a good run with it. We understood it because we were expecting it, and even with all our expertise, our knowledge seekers suffered for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months. It's just not that you take 1 cup and you do it. Needs a production. This, what do you call it? Tabletop. If you have it, if you, what do you call it? Have purchased it, just keep on running it. Don't stop and allow continuous production and continuous usage, and people around. If one gets, apparently it's like a wind flies through the whole, what do you call it, neighborhood, as they call it. You mix The system allows you to mix it the right way and just give it freely to people. They keep it, they use it, they just need to use the water of it. It's what we were expecting. The increase of the energy of the virus to a high level. And this goes, in the beginning was the physical. When we saw the corona, beginning of it, especially if you remember the sessions we ran in Iran and we saw in China, we saw it affecting the lung. It was 100% sure the next generation of these strengths sooner or later will come to brain, because the skin of the man, the lung and all that connects to the brain. It was just a matter of time when it matures to that point. And now he has reached it. Interesting thing for us is we monitor now how many people had the original corona. Now they got it second time, but soft cold and the suicidal and the depression, which now is getting reported connected to this new cycle. What would be the next level? It'll be very, very interesting. How will it gather strength to become one? Or will it come between the intermediary between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality as an emotion in different dimension? Creates new emotions that we do not know. This tabletop version of the GANs production by the Iranian team has just come in the right time. It's not a short time, we can't get rid of it by 2 or 3. We had one of our knowledge seekers couple of weeks ago. She just got a wake up a cold, and the only question I asked, as I said before, is, did you get a cold? She said, yeah, I just had a small, just a flu, and that's it. That's how it shows itself. And then depression and what you call suicidal thoughts. No energy, exhaustion, this is part of this. It's all emotional, this COVID. Yes, I've seen that. It says CO2 because we had to put it that way. If you tap on the side arrow of the structure, it gives you option. You can order different plates. Somebody put in the chat. It says the tabletop says it's just CO2 production. We release it as a CO2 production, but when you go into the shop to press a tab on the side, I was told everybody knows, maybe you're like me, then it gives you option on the plates. What you want to produce, you can buy plates for CO2, you can buy plates for zinc production, you can buy plates for CH3, and then there is a magnesium side which comes with it. You just add to the structure. But it says you won't get rid of it for days. We've seen it 3 months, 6 months, till it actually gradually you can take it out. But the Chinese side, or people who are infected by it, they don't have the facility to this structure of the production of the gases, and they suffer mental condition maybe for life. We have not seen the end to it. This is an option open to the Chinese government. They have to take it up. Any other questions, Jalal?
I think we
Yes, Mr.
probably
Keshe,
want
thank you very much. Sorry, Rick. I just would like to wish all of you, and especially you, Mr. Keshe, a very beautiful and healthy and wealthy new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you, for all the work, hard work which has gone in the past year and years. And we'll see what comes next year and how we go in our 10th year of serving humanity. Thank you very much, Rick, for all your work, and everybody else.
Well, thank you from me as well, Mr. Keshe. It's been a wonderful year, and I really think 2023 will be the biggest year yet for the Keshe Foundation and for all of your teachings. So we look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you in the new year. Hopefully still sober. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thanks to all who are participating and attending today's workshop. And we look forward to our next public teaching workshop, which is, I believe, is the 3rd of January. Let me see here. Yes, it'll be Tuesday, January 3rd, which will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice with members of the Universal Council. And so we look forward to that. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European time. That's on Tuesday, the 3rd of January, 2023.
Rick, can I end it with thank we for all what we received and what we participate. Thank you.
Well, thank all the we's and all the connections that we made this year, which is many into one. Thank you for everyone that's attended the Keshe Plasma Reactor group as well. We're having some great meetings there, and thanks for keeping respect for each other and keeping the conversation civil and elevated. Great way to go. Okay, I think that wraps it up for today's teaching. Once again, thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop, if not before then. And have a happy and elevated new year. Okay, we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And you can clap and dance your way into the holidays here. Okay, bye-bye.